In the earlier days of YouTube, it was pretty much entirely amateur content. Nowadays, you see YouTube channels with entire production crews and entire production companies just making YouTube content. But in 2005, 2006, 2007, and for a few years, there really wasn't that. It was a lot of people with camcorders or webcams making very, very amateur content. And a channel that really exemplifies this growth from a homegrown amateur channel to a production is Smosh. And a series that Smosh made that I feel like both exemplifies the development of their channel over the years and their nonsensical comedy is Food Battle. The episodes are pretty disjointed, the structure's kind of basic, but they make me laugh. The other day, I was looking through a playlist of YouTube videos I made that I feel some level of nostalgia for. And I somehow ended up watching the video Food Battle 2007, and I laughed my ass off. I've seen this video before, many times, and currently I'm age 22. I've just been really thinking about the Food Battle series and how it's developed over time. I really genuinely loved Smosh, and I think now is a good time to revisit it. So come with me as we go back to 2006 and we start looking at Smosh's Food Battle series. But first, what's a Smosh? There's a very good chance that if you're watching this video, you already know about Smosh. I mean, chances are if you clicked on this video, you probably were or are a fan. But, there's also a chance that you have no idea who these people are. I mean, my mom is watching. Hi, Mom. Whether you know nothing about Smosh or you just would like a refresher, I'm gonna talk about him. Smosh was originally a website started by Anthony Padilla in 2002. I know specifically that the name Smosh comes from a, mispronunciation of the word mosh pit. Smosh.com was pretty much just a place for Anthony Padilla and his friends to put stuff. And one such friend included Ian Hecox. Padilla and Hecox brought Smosh to YouTube in 2005 to post sketch comedy. A video of them lip-syncing to the Pokemon theme song went viral, and it brought them a lot of attention. Along with some other videos of them lip-syncing to popular theme songs, they also had sketch comedy. And here is where starts a cast of interesting characters and reoccurring series. At various times, Smosh was the most subscribed channel on the entirety of YouTube. They were absolutely a big deal. But today we're talking about something a little more specific. In 2006, they started one of their most successful series, Food Battle. The series follows each of them choosing a favorite food, Anthony's always being different, and Ian always choosing the pink frosted sprinkled donut, and them pitting the foods against each other in place of everyday household items. Mostly. And if that doesn't make sense to you, just keep watching. I'll explain it more later. Food Battle ran from 2006 to 2016 when it was announced that that was the last installment of the series. I almost called it a franchise. Shortly after the final Food Battle episode, Padilla left Smosh to focus on his own endeavors. Padilla has since found success in a series where he interviews people of niche communities, experiences, or occupations. At the time of Padilla's departure, Smosh was owned and operated by Define Media. There were a lot of disagreements between the parent company and the creators of Smosh, and this very heavily contributed to Padilla's reasoning for wanting to leave Smosh. Defy exponentially expanded the Smosh brand with further channels, a magazine, tons of employees and other personalities, and even some movies. One such movie was directed by Alex Winter of Bill and Ted fame, and I will be doing a video specifically about this. I don't know when. Smosh the movie is just something I think about a lot. Smosh operated under Define Media from 2011 until 2018, where one day they were all told that the company has gone under. Defy ceased operations, and everyone who worked for the Smosh channel and for the other channels that Defy owned were just out of jobs. This left the channel and all of the employees in a freefall. At this time, Hecox was the symbolic and literal figurehead of Smosh, and he promised to find a place for it to continue existing. And he found that place with Mythical Entertainment, which, if you do not know, Mythical Entertainment is owned and operated by Rhett and Link of Good Mythical Morning fame. But then, as mentioned earlier, in June of this year, Padilla and Hecox announced that they were reuniting and they were going to take ownership of the Smosh channel to create content again. And on November 17th, 2023, they will or already have posted a new installment in the Food Battle series. A new installment after a 7-year, I suppose, hiatus. So with a little bit of background, let's start looking at specifically Food Battle. Food Battle 2006.
Oh yeah, that's very good. It's a very good sandwich.
Shut up!
The first installment of Food Battle begins with Ian approaching Anthony in an empty field and questioning his favorite food, the taquito. Ian insists that the pink frosted sprinkled donut is truly the best food in the world. The two begin a challenge, putting their respective foods to the test, seeing which one can complete more everyday tasks that they choose from a catalog. They pit them against each other, having the foods take the place of items such as a toilet plunger, socks, a telescope, an airbag, a cigarette, a ballpoint pen, some lipstick, a girlfriend or boyfriend, and pool floaties. The foods perform in the tasks with varying success, some in ways that you would expect, and others in nonsensical ways, because it's their video and they can do whatever they want. In the end, who won the tasks really doesn't matter, because Anthony uses his taquito as pool floaties, and he drowns in the pool, dying on the spot. Ian wins Food Battle, and a reporter, portrayed by Brian Rasmussen in every installment of Food Battle, comes by to tell Ian he's won Food Battle 2006. Ian says that post-success, he's going to Disneyland, and when the reporter asks if he can come too, Ian yells a resounding "No!" This first installment of Food Battle is so endearing. It is genuinely funny watching them light the foods as cigarettes, and it's funnier knowing that these teenagers put lighter fluid on there so they would light up. I also really love when Anthony writes the Bill of Rights with a taquito.
What do you think ink's made out of? Beef!
The guitar riff that plays every time they're testing their items is one of those things that's like funny, and then it gets annoying, and then it circles back around to being funny. It has this cheesy quality, but it's also way overly intense for what's happening. What I think makes this work so well is that they are doing such menial things. They're taking foods to be everyday items, and it's pretty stupid. But it should be harmless, right? Making a donut a sock isn't gonna kill you. Except using taquitos as pool floaties will. There's a really good balance of the intensity of it and the nonsensical nature. Hecox and Padilla played these roles as if they were taking it with a really sincere seriousness, which just lends itself to making a really funny situation. This feels in line with a lot of popular content of the time, especially that you would find on the Smosh channel. And I'll admit, it's not the cleanest production. The camera quality is bad. The sound quality is pretty bad. You can see so many mess ups that they did. You can see where they decided to put a clip in where it probably wasn't supposed to be. But what is also clear is that this was two teenagers experimenting and doing whatever they could to make each other laugh. The conventions of Food Battle. So now that I have told you about the first Food Battle, I think you probably have gotten a sense for what the rest of it's going to look like. And more specifically, it will look like the first one. Hecox and Padilla have said that they only ever made that first Food Battle as a one-off video, but then a year later, their fans were like, guys, where's Food Battle 2007? So they just decided to make another one. Because of this, their sequel pretty closely follows the original, because the original created all of these conventions within the skit that they decided to keep consistent as if they were the rules of Food Battle. Number 1. Before each video for the little Smosh bumper, Ian would say in a vaguely German accent, "Oh yeah, that's good. That's a very good..." And then there would be something there, and then it would yell,
"Shut up!"
If you didn't know, Smosh has a bumper before every video that has some sort of statement, and then them yelling, "Shut up!" If you didn't know, there used to be an app where you could press it and it would yell, "Shut up." Number 2. Ian will always have a pink frosted sprinkled donut, and Anthony will always have a different food. regardless of who wins or loses the game. It would make sense if, like, the winner kept their food and the person next year got a new food, but that's just not what they did. Number 3, they must use a catalog to decide what their foods are going to compete as. And when I mean use, I mean the characters in the skit use the catalog. The writers of the skit did not. There's no way a catalog exists with all of those things in it. It's not real. Number 4, food battle must take place in Ian's mom's house. This is mostly followed. It isn't in the last few. Number 5, the wins per task measure is completely useless. Number 6, the winner of food battle is the person who survives by the end of it, because somebody will always be dead at the end of food battle. And number 7, you can only win food battle if the reporter announces that you win. And established after these first couple episodes, the person who died will always show back up and demand a rematch. It's completely unexplained why they're not dead. They're just back. So let's continue on to Food Battle 2007. 2007 starts with Anthony coming back from the dead after 8 months, where he demands a rematch with his new favorite food, celery. Ian's, of course, remains the pink frosted sprinkled donut. They test their foods as oven mitts, a squeegee, a knife, a tool to rob a defenseless person, a tool to fish for people, and a steering wheel. The steering wheel test results in Ian dying in a car accident. Anthony is declared the winner of Food Battle 2007 by the reporter. Anthony then says he's going to go home and watch Toy Story, and extends the offer to the reporter with a "Hell yeah!" This sophomore installment of the series manages to stay fresh and funny. Not everything lands, but it is 2007 and this was content made by teens. But I will reveal my cards a little early and say this might be my favorite food battle. It just makes me laugh really hard. The task where Anthony attempts to fish for people using celery and it works, it really gets to me. The squeegee also gets to me. I think celery was a really good choice as a food. The video quality is a little bit better than the previous year, but it's still not really there. I'll talk about it more later, but I think that this low quality of it actually lends to an authenticity that makes people really engage with it. Food Battle 2008. This starts with Anthony putting Toy Story on to watch again, when he finds Ian ominously staring at him from outside the window asking for a rematch. This time, Anthony has a new favorite food, the churro. They test them as sunglasses, a delicious smoothie, an anti-theft device, a pink frosted sprinkled donut, and an explosive. They also test their foods as a weapon that can be thrown from 30 feet away to kill somebody, which actually doesn't end up killing someone in the way we have come to expect. Anthony sees a man that says he hates Toy Story, which makes him go after them. But Anthony slips on a banana peel, throws his churro up in the air, and it falls back down and impales him. So I guess it worked as a weapon that can be thrown from 30 feet away to kill somebody. The reporter tells Ian that he's won food battle, but the two are interrupted when a near-death Anthony uses his final strength to throw the churro at Ian, impaling the reporter instead on accident. Ian says that he's going to have a party to celebrate winning Food Battle 2008, and when the dying reporter asks if he can come, he says yes. However, it was a bluff, because the reporter checks it and asks again, and Ian yells back, "No!" The mystery arm appearing from under the table really did make me laugh, and they do it a lot in the subsequent installments. It's just a funny touch. And also Hecox and Padilla's performances just really made me laugh. Sometimes all you need is a silly face. They begin to play with the formula of Food Battle here a bit, in the way that Anthony dies at the end, and they get the reporter involved. And from now on, that ending formula will just kind of be manipulated. And I think this is when they really started to hit their stride. It seems that they started to have a higher budget and a better quality here, and it seems like they kind of got a grasp of what the Smosh brand was. This was also the year that there started to be credits and behind the scenes of Food Battle. And when I say credits, I mean that Hecox would do a Barney voice and violently threaten the audience.
Hi there, kids, it's Barney! Basically, if you don't go to Smosh.com right now, I'm gonna kill you in your sleep. Basically, if you don't go to Smosh.com right now, I'll chop your f***ing balls off.
Not necessarily the Barney part, but it does show that Smosh was becoming more sophisticated with the ways that they rolled out content. Food Battle 2009. This food battle begins with Ian walking in on Anthony playing drums and Ian accusing him of being a zombie. After beating up Ian and proving that he's not a zombie, Anthony demands a rematch with his new favorite food, the burrito. They test the foods as a toothbrush, a shovel, a wig, a video game, a boomerang, a mind control device, and an edible food. During the wig test, Anthony puts on a wig and gets proposed to, and marries a man. This is relevant. In the final test, Ian poisons Anthony's burrito with cyanide, so he dies. The reporter tells Ian he's won, but before he can get to him, the man Anthony married steps in, grabs the burrito, and turns it into a corn dog, and challenges Ian to a duel to avenge for his dead wife, Anthony. The duel ends with the man being unable to stop running with the corn dog and crashing into a Susan Boyle sex tape viewing room. Okay. And then Ian is announced to have won food battle. He says he's going to go watch paint dry and accepts the reporter's request to join. They watch paint dry, and Ian screams, "No!" when the reporter asks if the paint is dry yet. I really love when Anthony blows on the burrito like it's a game cartridge. It's also very funny when Ian says Anthony's burrito is made out of cement and Donald Trump's dry skin, and Anthony replies,
Yeah, but I've tried both those things and they taste just fine!
There's quite a few funny jokes. The Susan Boyle joke was not funny. This is the first food battle to feature a beautiful woman in the thumbnail. Now, if you don't know what I mean by this, it was pretty popular in the 2010s to put a beautiful woman, or more specifically, boobs, in the video's thumbnail to clickbait people into watching it. I think the assumption is that most people on YouTube were either into boobs, or would see it and be so curious as to what a video called, like, say, Food Battle would have to do with a woman in a bikini. Smosh typically would have this sort of clickbait and then subvert it by having the women throw up on them or get kind of annoyed with them. So it was like, oh, see, we are not actually objectifying them. They are cool. But it's not quite subversion because they are still using the woman in the bikini to get people to click on the video. They are still capitalizing off of boobs in their thumbnail. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Sorry to be recording this in a car, but I was not kidding when I said this was a really, really fast production. Couple things I forgot. You'll see me pop up one more time. So 2009 is when they started doing polls to decide what Anthony's food would be. So they would have all of their fans go and vote, and it would be like bracket style where they would narrow it down to the final food, and then they would announce what it was, and they would do the food battle with it. And I think that was a really great way to get the fans engaged. It was fun. I am sure that I voted in them. I don't remember what I voted for, though. So, who knows? Food Battle 2010. This food battle starts in the same field as the first one, with Ian sitting at a table reenacting food battle roleplay with 2 pink frosted sprinkled donuts. He's just like me for real. He is bemused to see Anthony back from the dead, feeling like it's daily occurrence. Anthony pulls out a red-hot chili pepper and demands a rematch, as usual. They test the foods as a helmet, a bulletproof vest, a nightstick, poison, a flamethrower, a teleportation device, and contact lenses. Anthony ends up getting paralyzed from the teleportation device, and he lands in a minefield, and Ian attempts to kill Anthony by pushing him and his wheelchair into the pool. However, when the reporter announces to Ian he's won, Anthony rises from the pool and Ian dies by stepping into a bucket of water with a hairdryer in it. Turns out, Ian pretended to get injured in the explosion and learned how to hold his breath, so he avoided drowning. The reporter tells Anthony he's won, and Anthony tells him he's going to go home and play with dogs. Is that real? Did I write that wrong? If while I'm editing I that's incorrect, please update it. That sounds stupid. When asked if he wants to join, the reporter yells back, "No!" When rewatching this one, I kept expecting that I wasn't going to laugh. But I did. Ian's mom tells him that he can try poisoning her later because it didn't work the first time. It's so goofy. I also love the involvement of Ian's mom. That's kind of an aside. I really liked that she supported her son so much to be in his videos. This has even better quality than the last video, and it's clear they were starting to really make it, I guess. There's also the return of women in bikinis. Who would have guessed? Food Battle 2011. Anthony is walking in a park when he comes across a giant cardboard box. He opens the box to find a note saying to look behind him. He looks and there's no one there. Then he turns back around to see Ian standing there demanding a rematch. Anthony agrees and says that nothing will beat his new favorite food, the rainbow lollipop. They test the foods as a skateboard, deodorant, scissors, a GPS, a time travel device, a magic wand, and a gun. The final test lends itself to a duel, where Anthony and Ian take 10 paces away from each other and fire their weapons. However, neither actually works. Then Ian reveals that he had put poisonous venom on Anthony's lollipop in an effort to kill him. Anthony starts laughing maniacally and reverses the tables by revealing that he hid Ian's donut under his fake lollipop, meaning that Ian just ingested his own poison. Anthony also reveals that he hid a bow and arrow inside of his lollipop, which he then uses to shoot Ian in the chest. But then, Ian reveals that the reporter was standing behind him, meaning that both were hit with the arrow. The reporter tries to announce that Anthony won food battle, but he dies, leaving Anthony to scream alone with their dead bodies. But in Purgatory, the reporter interviews Ian and asks what he will do now. Ian says fly, and him and the reporter fly off into the distance in Purgatory. They went a little wild with this one. Hecox and Padilla recently did a podcast looking back on this episode, and I get why. Like, you could say that they do kind of more in the future with some of them, but this was so inspired, I think. I mean, to have so many double bluffs and the amount of maniacal laughing is funny. I need to come up with better words to say than funny. Humorous, comical, haha, haha, pee pee poo poo. It's definitely creative, and I do love some of the touches that they had, like Anthony going back in time and being in one of their older videos. This one is the most rewatched installment of Food Battle, and I think I know why. Smosh's popularity simply peaked at that time. If you look at Smosh's channel, most of their most popular uploads were made between 2011 and 2012, with the exception being a few newer videos and Beef and Go. The Crowning King Beef and Go. 2011 was definitely a peak for the channel, at least in terms of success, but I would also say that it is for their creativity. This was literally in my script, and I just didn't record it. But 2011 was when Ally Digital, which was later known as Defy Media, acquired Smosh. And so starting at that point is when they had a higher budget, and also they started to lose creative control. I, of course, can't really attest to what exact levels of creative control they had, because I'm not in Smosh. But you can definitely see as we proceed from here that things will start to change. Particularly, production quality becomes better, but in my opinion, after around 2013, they start to get worse. And maybe that is complete hindsight bias, but I think that they get worse. Anyways, I just needed to make that quick aside. Go back to enjoying my video. Intermission. The Last Food Battle by Morgan, 2015. So when I was in high school, I had a Wattpad account where I wrote joke fics. And if you don't know about fanfiction, joke fics are like kind of sarcastic parodies, kind of parodying fanfiction as a whole, while still being fanfiction. It's like the Not Like Other Girls way of still publishing fanfiction, but the defense is, oh, it was a parody. And I wrote these joke fics mostly about YouTubers. Nobody was safe. I wrote about Jenna Marbles, Ryan Higa, Markiplier, the Kardashians, an Aaron Burr x Lightning McQueen slash fic. Very normal things for a 14, 15-year-old to do. But there was one in particular that I wrote about Smosh in Food Battle, and it's not particularly good, but it's interesting. And I thought it would be kind of fun to do a dramatic reading because it's funny and incredibly embarrassing. All day, Ian and Anthony had been taking their favorite foods and completing various tasks with them. They tried guitars, hats, and even sunscreen. Sometimes it worked. Other times, it ended up being a situation that they will never talk about again. They were currently on the task of shark repellent. They stood together on a small rickety platform above a pool of man-eating sharks. Anthony starts to throw down his taco, but Ian stops him and grabs his arm. Anthony, I need to tell you something. Well, Can't it wait until I'm done testing the shark repellent? No. Anthony, haven't you thought about how dumb this is? Why are we even still doing it? Because it's entertaining to watch and fun to make. Why would you say it's stupid? You love Food Battle. I just need to talk to you. He grabs his hand. Lately, I've been feeling different about us. I need to do something. Ian puts his hand on Anthony's head, drawing him closer. He's about to kiss him when Anthony shoves him away. He loses his balance on the small platform and falls into the shark-infested waters. Ha ha ha! I got you! I figured if I tried to kiss you, then you'd push me away and lose your balance, falling into the shark pit. Didn't see that coming, did you? Why would you do that? One of us always ends up dying in Food Battle, remember? Oh yeah, but my taco still did better than your stupid pink dough balls. Nothing can beat my pink frosted sprinkled donuts! Aren't I supposed to be dead? Yep, Ian says, still standing there. Once Ian sees Anthony drown and murmur some gibberish, he walks towards the house like a penguin to take a nap. Ian! A voice behind him says, "You just won Food Battle 2015! What are you going to do now?" "I'm gonna go rewatch the footage of Anthony dying over and over again! Wanna come?"
Yeah!
Not so fast, Ian. Anthony steps off the rickety platform. But Anthony! I just watched you die! Well, it turns out tacos are a great shark repellent. They left me alone so I could come back and get my revenge. But how did you get out? You fell all the way into the pit. You know it's only like a 3-foot drop, right? Oh yeah. Now it's time for you to die! Anthony throws his taco at Ian, knocking him down and making him fall into a bag of dodgeballs, suffocating him to death. Who's awesome now? Anthony! The Food Battle reporter guy calls out. You just won Food Battle 2015! What are you going to do now? I'm gonna go read Smosh fanfiction! Wanna come?
No!
Smosh should have hired me is what I'm trying to say. Food Battle 2012. Food Battle 2012 begins with Anthony staring at a cat puppet next to him, but then Ian runs into the room and kicks over the table, saying he's back from the dead. However, he still has some rotting body parts, making him take 4 more months to ask Anthony for a rematch, whose new favorite food is an egg roll. They test their food as a whistle, as a fake ID, as a prom date, as a wedding ring, as a masturbator, as wings, and as a bandage for a life-threatening wound. Ian pulls a gun on Anthony and gives him a life-threatening wound, then tries to make his donut save him. But then, surprise! Anthony reveals that Ian actually killed his mom in an Ian mask, and Anthony is actually Ian in Anthony's body because Anthony switched their brains earlier while they were knocked out. He also switched Ian and Anthony's body's heart with the donut, so he dies instantly. The reporter tells Anthony and Ian's body that he's won, and Anthony and Ian's body tells the reporter he's going to go try a new body part switcher, where he switches his genitalia with that of the cat puppet from earlier before saying... The quality jump between 2011 and 2012 is considerable. The cameras are high quality and there's good lighting. But it also almost makes it feel a little too good. They're mostly still filming the content at Ian's mom's house, and there's also better special effects. I find some of the jokes in this one kind of odd. There are jokes about like needing a fake ID and wanting a prom date, but at the time, Hecox and Padilla were 25. It seems like pandering to their young audience, but maybe I'm being cynical. Anthony also says
Hashtag YOLO!
which is really rough. Not a lot of this one made me laugh. I like the parody that Ian sings of I Believe I Can Fly.
I believe I am able to fly.
But I just wasn't laughing. I had to go back to Food Battle 2007 to make sure that I wasn't just tired of Food Battle. And I did still laugh at that, so that wasn't the issue. I may not have been laughing super hard, but the ending was awesome. Not that it was like super great, I just really love the effort they put into it. They did the absolute most with it, and it doesn't make sense, but it really didn't need to make sense. And it's so fun how within the world of the skit, it almost makes sense. But overall, this is where I start to kind of not like Food Battle as much. It loses some of its charm, and it feels like they were aware, or at least more aware of having an audience, and so they were making content for them. Or I should say, for me, I was part of that audience. I really appreciate the ending. Lots of work was put into that, though the cat dick part was a choice. And maybe just the association of YouTube and cats together is a little off-putting to me at this point. The boobs in the thumbnail are gone, but don't you worry, they'll be back in 2014. Food Battle 2013. Food Battle 2013 begins with Ian and Anthony having a stare-off at each other before demanding a rematch in unison. They're unclear as to who won the last food battle, so they decide to compete again. Pink Frosted Sprinkled Donut versus the Giant Gummy Snake, which, let's be real, is like the best food. They test them as a coffee mug, as a hypnotist, as shin guards, as a hot girl, as a blanket to hide a dead body, as a crystal ball, and as money. During the hypnotist phase, Anthony gets Ian to hit himself with a nearby object whenever he hears the word balls, which comes into play a lot. In the last test, Ian tries to buy drugs with his donut, but then almost gets impaled by a sword, as Anthony foresaw in a vision when his snake was being a crystal ball. Ian accidentally says balls and hits himself in the head with a cat, then gets impaled by the sword. But then it turns out that Ian was wearing his mom's bra, which stopped the sword. Anthony apologizes and says their friendship is worth everything, way more than Food Battle. But then the sword falls from the ceiling and impales Anthony. The reporter tells Ian he's won, and Ian tells him that he's about to go run around the city in his mom's bra. He asks the reporter to join, who screams, "F*** yeah!" There are a few too many, "oh no, the hot girl was actually a guy" jokes. I don't find them funny. And Padilla does pretend to have sex with a gummy snake.
Alright, Gummy Snake, tell me who wins Food Battle this year and I'll love you all night long.
There's also a lot of Ian wearing bras. I do like the hypnotizing part, and like the word balls is funny. It feels like the video rushes at breakneck speed just to be like, here's our ending. Around here is when they began to include full credits in the description of who worked on the videos. The number of people working on this is a massive difference compared to the first videos, which just had Padilla and Hecox and their friend. I'm not saying that a higher budget and more people and a production means something is bad, but it's clear that Smosh became something different. It wasn't two guys making videos together, it was a comedy brand. It was a YouTube channel that supported dozens of people. Food Battle 2014. This installment begins with Ian setting up a camera and filming a vlog, telling the fans that he's been doing a lot of thinking and growing, and believes that he's too mature for Food Battle. But then Anthony shows up back from the dead, again, and tries to convince Ian that he should continue Food Battle since he's simply not mature enough. Anthony provides Ian with the donut and pulls out his new favorite food, rock candy. They test the foods as a bike seat, a smoke detector, a hacking device, an iPhone, and Braille. They also fail to test it as a tampon, and we don't know the results of their anal suppository test. This is the first time they're not using Ian's mom's house, but they continue on anyways. Ian covers the catalog at the end with a layer of poison, which kills Anthony once he touches it. As the reporter runs in to tell Ian he won, he knocks him over and Ian dies by falling into a bucket of poison. Therefore, the winner of Food Battle is the reporter. He tells himself that he won and says that he's going to go take a bubble bath. Good for him. I hope he had a good time. This is the year that they released Food Battle the game. And part of the video does take the opportunity to promote the mobile game. I do remember playing this mobile game. I was pretty into it. Despite playing it for hours, I can't tell you much about it. I know that you would play as Anthony with weapons that mirrored the foods that he had in Food Battle, and you would fight mutant donuts. And there was other cameos from well-established Smosh characters like Ian's mom, Charlie the guinea pig, etc. And I would play it for this video, but it's not in the App Store, and the servers are down, so that's impossible. As for this installment of Food Battle, it's fine. They continued their interesting subversion with the ending, and you know, the reporter deserved to win. There is the return of Woman in Bikini, which, make of that what you will. But similarly to Food Battle 2013, it's just not very memorable. The ending is, but everything that precedes that just isn't. Food Battle X 2015. Anthony is walking down the street when Ian jumps out of an alley and demands a rematch. They realize that Anthony burned down the last two houses they had Food Battle in, so they decide to ask the reporter if they can use the house that he and his grandpa live in to host Food Battle for the year. Anthony reveals his new favorite food, the chocolate-coated banana. They test a chocolate-coated banana and pink frosted sprinkled donut as a beard-shaving machete, a fine wine, a baby, track hurdles, a dating app, and a healthy smoothie. Ian ends up slipping on the kitchen floor, then choking to death when the donut falls into his mouth. The reporter tells Anthony that he's won, and Anthony tells the reporter he's about to burn his house down. I do like the fine wine bit. It's funny seeing Ian play this kind of exaggerated sommelier, like... I think I find that funny, though, because I do that sometimes as a joke when I try things. And I probably do that because of this video. So it just kind of, it's full circle. This one feels very sterile, and a lot of the jokes fall flat, especially the ones that are tempting to be edgy. Like Ian peeing on himself in an effort to cheat. I don't know. It's just not funny. They also then, in the most overt way, try to subvert the bikinied woman in the thumbnail by having the bikinied woman call them out for their objectification and putting them in bikinis. I actually remembered nearly nothing about this food battle, even though I was very much into Smosh when this came out. I remember everything surrounding it because this was the 10-year anniversary of Smosh, and they were doing a week full of videos every day, and I especially remember the Every Smosh Ever video, which had cameos of a bunch of different YouTubers pretending to be Smosh. And that video is an absolute time capsule on its own. It's incredibly weird to watch. Shane Dawson is in it. It's weird to think that that marked the 10-year anniversary for the Smosh YouTube channel, but it's weirder to think that that was almost 8 years ago. Food Battle 2016. Ian and Anthony realize that they forgot Food Battle until December, meaning they are way behind. Anthony reveals he has a new favorite food, the vegan pink frosted sprinkled donut. They test the donuts as the child you found out you had with your high school girlfriend that you now have visitation rates with, a clone, some glue, a dabbing Harambe, and a Christmas tree topper. I have to talk about something specific though. If you've been following my channel or you know me personally, you are probably wondering, oh, how is she going to make this video about Panic at the Disco? Which I somehow managed to do in nearly every video I've ever made, unfortunately. When they're testing to see if the foods work as glue, Ian goes to break a guitar in Anthony's room, and Anthony says,
No! Not my limited edition Fender Telecaster Deluxe, signed by world-renowned singer-songwriter and very handsome man Brandon Urie from the band Panic at the Disco.
And I laughed really hard. I didn't expect it. There had been an ongoing joke that Anthony Padilla looks like Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco, mostly because in 2005 they had the same hairstyle. Sorry if you're watching this video and you know nothing about me or my history with Panic at the Disco or the 2-hour-long video I made about the band. I just had to talk about it. I also should talk about the dabbing Harambe. It's shocking.
A dabbing Harambe!
You know, in that scene, Ian goes to test as a dabbing Harambe, and then the meme police show up and say, "You've just mentioned 2 outdated memes." And then the meme police points at his shoe and goes, "Damn, Daniel, back at it again with the white Vans, dat boy." And then they let him go. Yeah, okay. Anthony refuses to make his donut a Christmas tree topper because he's done with Food Battle. He feels they've changed, and they've grown up, and they've just simply died enough times. They show a montage of past food battles while Ian sings a song parody that is quite beautiful. They decide to end Food Battle forever, and they say goodbye. The reporter follows them out, and Anthony tells them that they're going to live, and that, unfortunately, the reporter is out of a job. The video is concluded with the end with a question mark, which at first boded poorly with the 2017 news, but turns out to have been pretty accurate. There's a great podcast from the last couple weeks where Padilla and Hecox break down the production of this specific Food Battle installment.
It feels good to be Ian.
Yeah, that really is what you said you were doing back then.
100%.
Ian,
I don't think you ever asked me what was wrong in real life.
It seems that at the time their friendship had started to wane because it was primarily predicated on work. And it was work that they didn't have a lot of creative control over, and it seems that they were both fairly frustrated. While watching, I do think you can see the weight that's on both of them and the disconnection that they have with each other and with the video as a whole. I recommend checking out that podcast if you'd like to know more. This is not a fitting end for the series. First off, for me to bring the word that I've said like 100 times in this video, it's not funny. Like, the Panic at the Disco thing made me laugh, but not really because the joke was funny, more because I was like, how do I keep doing this? It also seems clear that Hecox's and Padilla's hearts just were not in it. Of course, knowing that the parent company was a mess and that Padilla was going to leave within a year also contributes to that. That is something that I just simply can't do with this video, is have an impartial view on Food Battle. It's really interesting to see how Food Battle developed over time, not necessarily because of the content, but everything else that came with it. We see Hecox and Padilla literally grow and develop over time. They started it as, 18-year-olds and did 11 years of Food Battle. They were nearly 30. We also see the channel change from being incredibly amateur to a sophisticated production. But the biggest thing I'm taking away is this is a really quick way to see how YouTube developed over time as a whole. In 2006, when Smosh posted the first Food Battle video, it was two friends hanging out with a family camera making a video. This was when anybody could become famous on YouTube, and everybody on YouTube wasn't a professional filmmaker. Nobody did this for a living, they just were having fun or felt some sort of passion or draw to it. This is kind of just how YouTube functioned back then, because it was way before the time when you could be incentivized to have better looking content. By 2016, when they posted the most recent installment, there were dozens of people working on just that one video. YouTube started to become more competitive and become an industry of its own. YouTube lost a lot of that amateur appeal that makes content feel authentic. That feeling that the content is made by someone who's just like you. Authenticity is a difficult word to use because it feels like something that can never fully be understood or explained. Especially on the internet, you can never achieve authenticity because in the first place, what is authenticity? Ekit states in an article about authenticity and YouTube that the platform is profoundly mediated and performative, yet one where users desire, and often demand, the absolute authenticity of their social media icons. This can mostly be seen in the ways that YouTube personalities form and the ways in which their fans interact with them. Vlogs feel intimate because the person is talking to you. That's what I'm doing now. And knowing that the person talking to you is a real person makes it feel like a real relationship in a way. We as viewers want to connect with the content that we're watching, and that comes from the ways that creators portray authenticity. As it stands, authenticity on YouTube isn't what it sounds like. It's not a completely true and honest performance of self because there's so much mediation from me thinking what I'm thinking to you watching it and interpreting it. It's rather an internally consistent and believable performance. It feels like the person on the screen is earnestly creating this content, and they are who they perform to be. When watching Smosh's older videos, it's not that the content of them feels innately more real and authentic than the later ones. They all involve stupid jokes in the same format. Rather, it's the perception of what a Smosh video is. From the start, they defined what a Smosh video would look and feel like, and when they deviate from it, it starts to feel inauthentic. Regarding the earlier videos, it's completely believable that this is two teenage friends hanging out and making something. There's mistakes, there's low quality, and the outline of the entire sketch seems very, very loose. That isn't to say that something created with a production team is inauthentic, but it rather leaves a different impression on the viewer, particularly those who have a nostalgic and emotional attachment to the older videos and to the people that were represented in those. It is no wonder that the older Smosh videos are my favorite. The later ones have much better quality, as I've said, and some of them just objectively are funnier. They did get better at telling jokes. Hecox and Padilla got better at their craft as they grew up. But there's also something that just makes me so happy about seeing two kids just try to make each other laugh. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that when I saw this as a kid, what was going through my head wasn't, oh, these guys are so funny, they're so cool, which that also was. But I was thinking that could be me. And I think that resonated with a lot of people. When I was a young teenager, I wanted to be Smosh. I just wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to make people laugh in the ways that my favorite channels made me laugh. I made a lot of sketch comedy videos, I made a lot of skits, song parodies, and I uploaded them to a YouTube channel at the ripe age of 13, 14. And I did this all in the hopes that I could become the next Ian Hecox or Anthony Padilla. They started from nothing and they found YouTube success, so why couldn't I do that too? As silly as it sounds, their videos really inspired me, and I am so grateful. I am so grateful for Dick's Insider. I imagine that I'm not alone in feeling this, and I'm starting to kind of lose what the direction of this video was, but I do kind of predict one thing, which is if you clicked on this, you probably care about the Smosh YouTube channel. YouTube is a weird platform because we develop really strong emotional attachments to people. And it's not in the same way that it's like a traditional celebrity, because they are far closer and more tangible than them. For a long time, I was a diehard fan of Smosh. I own numerous shirts. I would listen to their music in the car. I still have all of their movies in my iTunes, and I would tweet them all the time. I very nearly died when the official Smosh Twitter account followed me back. But I stopped watching Smosh between 2017 and 2018. I just grew out of it. Smosh felt real because of the perceived authenticity of the people behind it. The appeal was that it was two friends making their silly and edgy videos. And I think that with Hecox and Padilla reuniting, that might just be the appeal again. Thank you so much for watching this video. I threw it together in a very quick amount of time. I started writing the script in the end of 2022, and then I forgot about it because I was graduating, wrote a thesis about PewDiePie, and then a week ago I remembered that I had the script and that they were going to make a new installment of Food Battle. So yeah. If you want more information about Food Battle as a whole, I highly recommend going to the Smosh Food Battle wiki, which is very comprehensive. Thank you so much to the contributors who put the work into it. It made my life considerably easier. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed or checked out my other content. If you liked this video, I would recommend that I have a video about PewDiePie, that was my thesis, and a video about YouTube Rewind 2018. Some of the other stuff is a little less related to YouTube. And I would also love to hear in the comments down below if you watched Smosh, if you loved Smosh, if you hated Smosh, if you also wrote Smosh fanfiction. Please update me. I hope I am not alone. I also hope Smosh enjoys the probably $4 of AdSense I gave them when I spent 8 hours watching Smosh. You're welcome. I hope that I am funding the new episode of Food Battle.
Can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Shoot 'em all, fall in the throat with my bow. Tomahawk chop is my death blow. How many fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Shoot 'em all, fall in the throat with my bow. Tomahawk chop is my death blow.